Alright. I'll be talking about this build that I've been using to level up as Monk that's been working really well for me as I've been going through first couple of acts so far. I've just gotten in Act 3. It is a build based off of Ice Strike, which is pretty darn good skill, if I do say so myself. It feels good to use, and it's pretty strong. I mean, little feels better than just blowing stuff up with ice and freezing it and watching packs explode. But it's been pretty nice. As we can see here, when we take a look at the skill gems and stuff under quarterstaff, you don't get an Ice Strike until these level 5 skill gems, which I think the earliest that you can get it is like the Executioner in the first act, which would be all the way over here in the village, around level 13-ish, give or take. So for me, what I did, I literally just used the default quarterstaff strike for the most part to kill stuff. I also mixed it up a little bit with like using Killing Palm to get some power charges, and then used Falling Thunder because it makes it a big old AoE with power charges. It felt alright for like big packs and stuff, but honestly, Killing Palm is kind of lame in terms of actually getting power charges because it's pretty janky in a big old pack of mobs to try and like hit them with your fists and get power charges. Because a lot of times you're just smacking some random mob that isn't even the right one. But it is pretty nice when it does get rolling. For Killing Palm, I was using this Perfusion gem in it, which was quite nice for giving it a chance to get an additional charge. And the more charges you have, the bigger the radius on Falling Thunder is, because it does more little tendrils. So that was pretty good. It was pretty decent for leveling up for a while. But if you just make sure you get like a good quarterstaff,
Anything take your fancy?
like none of these are good, of course, but if you can find anything that's got like elemental damage on it, and especially if you can find a staff that has at least like a couple sockets in it, because then you can put in these glacial runes, and if you could put a couple of them in there, that's like 12 to 20 cold damage, and even with the basic quarterstaff strike, you'll literally just be like two-tapping axe and blowing them up. I did dally around a little bit with Glacial Cascade. I mean, it was alright. I didn't particularly like it. It looks cool. You just shoot a wave of ice and then it spikes up at the end, which is nice, but you gotta like hit it at the right distance, which can be a little bit annoying, but it is nice for killing ranged mobs, so having it socketed in the back has been pretty good. As for after that, once you can get your first level 2, I guess it's level 3 right here, but the next tier of quarterstaff skills, pick up Tempest Bell. This thing is insane and satisfying to use. In fact, let's go out here and have a look and see what it can do. It's a boss killer. It's like a pack of mobs killer. It's fantastic. So it starts with 0 here, but every time you do a strike, you just build up charges on it, and once it gets to 4, then you can drop a hammer on them. So now that we've got it at level 4, you can just clang, and then it drops this thing. Not only it sounds sick, but you can also hit it. It only lasts like however long it lasts. Let's have a gander here. It lasts baseline 6 seconds, and I think at the first level you get it, it can last for you hitting it 10 times or something, and then it goes away. But let's bust it up, and then hit it. And any element that you flicked on it, like ice for example, anytime you hit it again, it will not only do the shockwave, but it also bursts for that uh, that element, which is really nice, especially for cold and stuff. It just lets you freeze stuff. Very nice, very nice. And also good is that if you get any like fire damage or something on your quarterstaff, like I've got here, if you manage to put an ignite or like lightning damage, you shock the bell or something, it'll also add damage to that. As you can see here, I think it says in the description. Yep. Creates a damaging shockwave. Elements applied to it cause shockwaves with extra damage of the type, which is cool. So it converts some damage depending on the ailment of it, and for each ailment afflicting it, it does 30% more damage. So the damage just goes up as you put on more like elements, which is pretty good, I will say. It makes it pretty much like the ultimate skill. So it helps that it's like ballers all get out and sounds cool to use. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Pretty much you'll just be whacking stuff and hitting things until you get to the Executioner. It's pretty much getting close to the end of Act 1, and you can pick up Ice Strike, which is instantly just good feeling, because you can get a short little dash, and it does some cold damage, and it's great. Before you get to the Executioner and grab your skill gem that lets you get Ice Strike, if you go to the hunting grounds and you go to the Freythorn, here you can do the like little ritual things and be the King of the Mist. That gives you 30 spirit in your first spirit uncut spirit gem, and for that you definitely want to pick up, where is it, Herald of Ice. Very good for not only blowing up packs, as you've been seeing me do, the little like when I hit something and it does that little ice explosion thing, that's Herald of Ice, which is really good. But it also, just like the bell, is very satisfying to use, because shattering things and watching them explode and kill the other packs, it just feels good, and that's really the biggest thing for enjoyment in not only this game, but any game, really. But as far as the strength of it goes, it's pretty good. It lets you blow packs. Very nice. Especially if you freeze the whole pack and then you just blow them all up, and then Herald of Ice takes care of it. You can also pick up Frost Bomb, which I think is good. It puts frost exposure on it, which gives them negative 20% cold resist, which can't go wrong. A little bit of a hassle to drop down sometimes, but when you're fighting bosses or like a rare or something, it works out pretty well. I put Arcane Tempo in it, make it cast faster, because it's pretty slow otherwise. If it even does anything, let's be honest here. I am actually not 100% sure if it affects the initial casting speed of it, or if it just affects the subsequent ones. Either way, I just have it in there. Yep, that's pretty much how I got all the way through Act 1, and Act 2 really, as far as that goes. I literally just was using Ice Strike, and I was blowing up everything. It helped that I could get a quarterstaff with a couple slots in it to let me put in the whatever they're called, maroons, and I had the glacier ones in there for the cold damage, and that worked out really well. That was pretty much just blowing stuff up, killing bosses in like 10-20 seconds flat. Very easy. But short ways through, where did I get it? I picked up Wave of Frost with the level 7 uncut gem that you get partway through Act 2. I don't remember exactly when you get first one. I think it's from a quest. It's pretty cool. I mean, it looks cool. Gives you a little backstep into a cool looking wave of ice. I have mine linked to Ice Bite, because when you freeze stuff with it, like if there's a pack of mobs that's got a bunch of little dudes in it that freeze really easy, you could just ice wave them, get frozen, and you get ice bite, which gives you 35% of your damage as cold for about 3 seconds. 3 seconds isn't a whole lot, but you know, it's a little bit of something. It helps because the little backstep with Wave of Frost sends you backwards, but then you can use your first Ice Strike to go right in there. And works out pretty well. It's very nice for just going back to back. You just cap them and then you like dash at them a little bit. Very good. Very fast, very satisfying. As far as the skill gems go, the sports, I started out with Cold Infusion and Martial Tempo for Ice Strike once I had it. I had both these things in the Quarterstaff Strike at the start before I got Ice Strike. But converting it to Cold, or they gain Cold, but you do less Fire and Lightning, which is whatever. We're mostly Cold anyway. Attack speed is attack speed. Pretty good. Can't go wrong with more attack speed. Rage in Tempest Bell is a game changer, really. It you just slap down your bell, and anytime you hit it, you get 3 rage. And depending on how much you're hitting it, you could just get like 30 rage super fast and very easy. I have Ruthless in it, not 100% sure it's even doing anything. You could always get Magnified Effect. You know, I might just put that back in there and just dump this wherever. Magnified Effect to make the AoE bigger, since it's an AoE. Makes you be able to hit more of the pack if you got a big pack of enemies. Pretty easy. I'm not exactly sure when I got a level 7 Spear Gem or whatever that gives you the second bit of it. But I was able to get Combat Frenzy from the Ranger. This is super good. If you have trouble with power charges, you can use this to get frenzy charges when you freeze stuff, which is fantastic for us because we're freezing all the time. But then you come over here, grab this Keystone Resonance, makes all the frenzy charges you get give you power charges. And it's pretty easy to just like go around to where the, like as you're going through and freezing packs of mobs, you'll be at 3 power charges super fast. And then you can spend that on another fun skill that you get with a level 9 skill gem. Your Charge Staff. Very nice. You get a buff per power charge, 1 to 6, so it should be like, my terrible math, 3 to 18 or whatever lightning damage on your skills. Works out pretty well. And 6 seconds per power charge, which is pretty good. So at 3 power charges, you're getting like 18 seconds worth. I've got that linked to Persistence for more skill effect duration, and Perpetual Charge is nice. So occasionally you just don't use your charges, so you can just use the buff again. It's really nice because not only does it give the lightning damage, but it also adds like a lightning shockwave to your attacks, so you're like shooting out shockwaves of lightning while you're attacking, which is pretty useful. Gives a little bit of range. Mostly just for the damage. As for the skill tree, I just went down here through skill speed, attack damage at the start to get to attack and cast speed. Dex and intelligence is nice because you need it for leveling up your skill gems. Because if you don't have enough, you can't use your skills. And it also affects how many support gems of each color you can put in there, as you can see up here. You need a little bit of strength as well for a couple of these, like Rage. Need some strength. Persistence also needs a little bit of strength. But I personally went up through the skill speed here. I'm not 100% sure if it, how exactly it works. I assume since this is a skill, it works that way. But I went up through here, get flow state, got the strength. I personally found that I went up here this way, going along and mostly collecting dexterity and intelligence to make sure that I had the attributes required for my skill gems. But occasionally I get strength since you get life for strength. But I went up here, grabbed these elemental damage nodes, and this one's pretty good. Extra elemental damage if you've chilled, which we're always doing, of course. Then I went down here, up this for increased freeze build up, which is nice on bosses mostly because you instantly freeze everything else that you hit pretty much. But 5% damage is extra cold, doesn't hurt anybody. Then I made sure to come down here, went down here, grab this elemental damage, and grab this cold pen since we're doing all cold damage, so that's pretty good. Went down here for more elemental damage. This is pretty nice. 15% increased damage for each elemental ailment on the enemy. Which chill and freeze are apparently separate ones. Not 100% sure if it's possible to chill and freeze with just the skills we've got, but if you do manage to, like, ignite with a little bit of fire damage on your skill, or once you get charged staff, you can potentially shock as well. That's just extra damage on top of that. I went down here and got these first because it's gonna be quite a while until we can really make use of resonance, because you don't get combat frenzy until like the end of Act 2 anyway, and that's like level 28 to 30 or something. So this can wait. But once you grab all these, then you can just start coming up here. And by the time you can get resonance, you probably have combat frenzy. But that's really how it's been working out for me so far. It's been super smooth. I've just destroyed everything. Freezing is not only good defensively, but also offensively with Herald of Ice and stuff. Biggest thing is just to make sure that you keep up with your quarterstaff, because if you let it fall off and get behind too much, then it's just rough. Like, it's definitely a difficult thing to do. For me, I just picked up whatever quarterstaffs I could find and used some transmutes and augments on them while I was leveling up through Act 1. If you can check the vendors often enough, if you can get something like physical damage increases good as well as the flat elemental, because obviously it scales off physical damage. But
Here's what I've got.
if you can find one that's got like 1 or 2 sockets, that's super good. And any artificer orbs that you find, definitely use that to put like a second socket in there. I think you can get up to 3, but I don't think it's worth it to spend all them as you're leveling, because you'll be trading out your weapons decently enough. Yeah, just pick up whatever at the start of Act 1 and stuff, and once you get in Act 2, I found that pressing quarterstaff worked out pretty well as like a decent item base to upgrade to. Definitely make sure you don't pick up something like the electrifying quarterstaff or whatever it is, because there's no physical damage on that. It's just all lightning damage, and that doesn't really do a whole lot for us. Obviously, you can get lucky like me and get a staff that's got like elemental damage with attacks +3 to all melee skills and stuff like that, which is good. But if you could just get like any damage on it, really, physical damage, it could either be flat or percentage. Elemental damage flat isn't too bad, but the biggest thing is just making sure you pick up the good item bases. Beat off the ground, check the vendors every time you level up if you're really having issues, but you shouldn't have too many issues. If you can find yourself a good weapon, it lasts like almost the whole act pretty much. I don't think I ever traded out this thing for a while. The only time I will is when I get a new quarterstaff base, like Steel Point, I think is a decent physical damage upgrade over the Crescent one. Just picking up stuff, using transmutes and stuff like that, and if you get something really good like flat fizz, percent fizz, or like melee skill gem levels and elemental damage or something like that, you could use Regal Orb on it, give yourself a magic item to rare item. Um, Another good thing is you can always, when you find essences and stuff, you can use like a torment one to force a physical modifier on it, which is pretty good. Sometimes you'll get some good stuff out of that. If you can find a greater one, that'll let you make it a magic one or a rare one with good stats. Quite nice. You can do the same with like life on your armor and stuff. I definitely found that you can get some good damage from your gloves. I think that's a good source of damage. These I found off a vendor, actually. Pretty good. Low cold, probably low lightning as well, but some life resistance damage. Can't go wrong with that. The biggest thing, especially as you're getting to the end of Act 2 and the start of Act 3, and when you want to start using Combat Frenzy, both it and Herald of Ice use 30 spirits, so you're going to need at least spirit on your arm chest piece. It can come on the, I know for sure, but you can also get it on your amulet. So if you can manage to find an amulet with some spirit on it, that'll help a whole lot. I'm pretty sure in Act 3 there's another like side boss that gives some more spirit that'll help out, so that you don't need the spirit on your amulet or your chest piece, freeing up an affix, which isn't too bad. I've also found that you don't really need to keep like max resistances as you're leveling up. Each act you go through, I think, reduces you by like 10% or something, which isn't really a huge deal, because even with like negative lightning and cold res that I had at the start of Act 2, I didn't really find myself getting like blown up or one shot even by bosses or anything. As long as you can avoid the telegraphed attacks like big slams, stuff like that, you don't have to worry too much. I'm pretty sure you're gonna need to make sure that your resistances are pretty good in maps, but I haven't gotten there, so we'll see. But as far as that goes, that's the build, really. It's worked out really well so far. Very smooth, very easy to level up, safe with all the freezing and stuff, blowing up packs. I haven't felt weak this entire time. It was easy to go through the trial. Speaking of the trial, um, I've looked at all this stuff, and I just decided to pick up extra cold damage from I Am the Blizzard. And it can create chilled ground, which is nice. It chills them by default, so that might actually benefit us with the Tempest Spell. It adds another ailment that we might be able to put on it, which is nice. I think next I'll probably get Unbound Avatar. Because this, if it's anything like the Path of Exile one, Unbound Avatar, it should be pretty decent damage bonus from that. 40% more elemental damage while you're unbound. Lasts 8.8 seconds. You could probably put persistence or something on that instead of on whatever else I've got it on. More chance to inflict elemental ailments. More build up so you freeze stuff better. I mean, that's pretty good. I haven't gotten to it yet, so I don't know how much of a hassle it'll be for building it up, but probably useful for just blowing up bosses. After that, oops. After I pick up that and my second one, the next couple, I'll probably end up going down here for crits ignore elemental resistances. Sounds pretty nice. And then elemental expression. I think I might pick this up just because I like watching stuff explode. Extra stuff triggering, like on crits and stuff. You can get fiery explosions, like bolts, I guess like spark, and like ice waves and stuff. Yeah, it should be fun. And fun is where it's all about. Um, as far as where I'm gonna go on my tree afterwards, now that I've got resonance, I think I'm gonna go all the way over to the right over here. This jewel socket down here, and then grab the herald damage and stuff. 50% cold damage while affected by Herald of Ice sounds pretty darn good. So that'll probably be a big chunk of damage once I can grab that. Then you can always, after that, head up here, grab stuff like this crit, this attack speed, damage and stuff. Freeze build up and defenses, pretty good. Stuff like that. Can't go wrong with quarterstaffs. You can look for crit on the tree as well. There's some stuff for damage bonus, reduced crit chance though. I don't know about that. And that is all I would say. Max have a chance crit. Not bad. But that's my build. It's been working out for me good so far. It'll probably take me all the way to maps, and I doubt I'll have any issues.